What's going on, everybody? Happy Sunday and welcome back. Gerald here with your weather forecast. And speaking of that weather forecast, there's a lot of things we need to talk about today that honestly might not be something you want to hear, but it's important to get out. So today we're going to talk a lot about a likely big time area of severe weather today, tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday, possibly even going beyond there. So again, it's going to be a very busy week in the severe weather department, and that will be followed by likely one of the bigger heat waves we've seen for the East Coast so far this year. So buckle up, hang in there. It's going to be one of those videos with a lot of stuff to kind of, digest, I guess, even if you don't quite want to hear it. Now, before we do get into the video, I definitely want to let you know we're getting pretty close to 1,500 subscribers here. So if you haven't already subscribed, definitely consider doing so and like the video if you like it. And of course, comment, let me know what you're seeing out there and what you want to see out there as well. Fortunately, I can't control that, but it's always good to see what people are looking forward to in the weather department. Alrighty, well, with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it on this Sunday afternoon. Alright, so taking a look right now out here at the lower 48 on satellite, you will pretty easily notice we have a big area of thunderstorm activity out here over sections of the central part of the country. So from Missouri here all the way up north through Minneapolis, we've got some pretty big time storms rolling on through. And this will continue throughout much of today, including a pretty big area of severe weather down here into southern Missouri. So definitely need to be on guard today as those storms roll on through. Now, as for the Northeast, you can see that low pressure that brought severe weather yesterday is now finally exiting the region, with that kind of shrimp tail of it now getting off into Nova Scotia and off the Atlantic coast. Now, taking a look at radar, again, we do have a lot of stormy activity and really just rainy activity in general from really the Joplin, Missouri area all the way up to the Canadian border in North Dakota. So, again, a pretty active radar scene back out into the central part of the plains. Now, outside of there, we're actually pretty clear east of the Mississippi here with not much precipitation going on, outside of a couple lingering showers here up into the Northeast. Now, the other big story here today is going to be the heat. We have excessive heat warnings from San Antonio all the way back towards Jacksonville and Tampa, Florida, and now heat advisories all the way up to Norfolk, Virginia, and that stretches all the way down the Carolina coastline and into the Florida Keys. So a very hot day in store for some folks, maybe the hottest this year, I would think, out here towards the Carolinas, where we've been a bit more spared from the heat this summer. Now, as for you folks back out here towards Texas and Louisiana, just a lot more of the same here. With very hot temperatures, and if you think this is hot, just wait a bit, because I think it's really going to crank up once we get further into August here. Alright, so we're going to now start talking about that severe weather. I know it's not, the fun thing that you want to be dealing with this time of year, but unfortunately it's what we've got going on, all due to this crazy jet stream coming down out of Canada, bringing lots of wind energy, combined with this very unstable Gulf of Mexico air, as we often see here in the United States. Alright, so today we do have an enhanced risk once again, this time in southern Missouri, southeastern Kansas, and extreme northern Arkansas. That for the possibility of strong winds, hail, and tornadoes. So again, you need to have a way to get those warnings today, including this evening, and possibly even into the overnight hours a bit as well. Now, outside of there, we could see damaging wind, hail, and even an isolated tornado anywhere in this kind of yellow box here, from Nashville up towards Paducah, Kentucky, Evansville, Indiana, southern Illinois, up towards St. Louis, Kansas City, back towards Oklahoma City and Tulsa as well in that yellow box. And then in this green box as well, having that severe weather chance today and into the overnight hours as well. Now, we do also have a slight area for some damaging winds and maybe a brief isolated tornado up into New England. That is because that low pressure pulling away could still spawn a couple afternoon storms today. Now, once we get through today, we then have to get through tomorrow, and that is going to once again bring more severe weather chances, including this big slight risk from much of eastern Kentucky through southern Ohio, southern Pennsylvania, and all the way towards the eastern seaboard towards Richmond and Norfolk, Virginia, and up the I-95 corridor to D.C. Now, we also have a marginal risk for areas surrounding that from New York City all the way down towards Charlotte, North Carolina, and as far west there as Memphis and the Ohio River and Mississippi River back there into western Kentucky. So a big area tomorrow to worry about as well. And once again, could see tornadoes tomorrow as well, specifically in this yellow box here in eastern Kentucky and West Virginia. I think having the best chance of seeing those isolated tornadoes tomorrow. But wind and hail will once again be a threat tomorrow, especially that wind threat. Now, as we go into our Tuesday, once again, another area of severe weather, this time through the mid-Atlantic on the eastern seaboard from New York City all the way down to Charleston, South Carolina, having the chance of those strong storms. Main threats here will be wind, although can't rule out, again, an isolated tornado in here as well. So, again, really just want to stay weather aware now through this week as this line of storms marches on through. And don't let your guard down after that, because this is only round one of the severe storms. Later in the week, we get round two for some different folks once we get there. And that all starts on day 4 here. So this would be going into our, let me see if I can do math. Going into our Wednesday and Thursday, sorry, had to do some mental math there in my head. So this time, starting up into Minneapolis, having the best chance of those strong to severe storms. So definitely want to watch out for that starting Wednesday. And then as we go into Thursday, expect that to continue off into the Midwest and the Northeast. So again, a very active stretch of severe weather here for the lower 48. Now, why are we seeing this? I talked about this yesterday, but let's go through it again. It's all due to this very active jet stream, and right now we're seeing a big-time dip, or some troughing, as we call it in the world of meteorology, here through the central part of the United States. So this big trough is digging down, and with that low pressure, helping to pull that down, combined with very warm southern air out of the Gulf, you're getting these clashes of these air masses, and whenever you have winds going different directions, that always spells trouble in terms of severe weather. So this trough will continue to dig, really strengthening Monday, so tomorrow, where we have that severe weather threat, and then again on Tuesday through the mid-Atlantic and the eastern seaboard. We will definitely have to watch that, and then behind it comes the next round, which honestly could be an even stronger trough. So we could have, even worse severe weather later in the week than the start of the week. So again, very active stuff ahead here. All right, so we've got the wind energy. We know that with that troughing and the jet stream. What about the instability? That's the other key ticket here to getting severe weather in the United States. And I'll tell you, it's August, so we have plenty of it. As I'm sure you'll step outside, and it will just feel like the atmosphere kind of wants to explode a little bit. That's pretty much what we have. So tomorrow afternoon, well, actually, let me back this up. Starting this afternoon, you'll notice big areas of instability through Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Missouri, and that's why we have that enhanced risk. We have plenty of wind energy combined with that very muggy, uncomfortable, and unstable air. As we go into our Monday afternoon, you'll see that instability shifts off towards Kentucky, Tennessee, and into the Carolinas and Virginia. So that's when those ingredients will overlap for you folks going into tomorrow. And then going into our Tuesday afternoon, it's all about the eastern seaboard, again from kind of Philly and New York down through Charleston, South Carolina, having the best overlap of those ingredients. And then on Wednesday, that instability works back up into Minnesota, and that's why we have that severe weather threat for Thursday. So it's one thing I love about meteorology. If you just connect all the dots, it's a bit easy to kind of understand why we're seeing what we are seeing. And speaking of connecting those dots, when you put all this together, you get our supercell composite map here, which pretty much just shows us where do we have the best ingredients to see supercells, or basically strong rotating storms, and really just outside of rotating, just strong storms in general is what we will see. So this afternoon, those best ingredients will be back out towards Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas. That's again why we have that enhanced risk out there. So those storms could become quite strong and begin to rotate. Now going into our Monday afternoon, that threat then shifts back towards Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and even sections of the Carolinas, as well as Ohio having the chance of some of those strong rotating storms going into our Monday afternoon. Now after that, we go into our Tuesday afternoon. Again, those ingredients then really increase going into the Carolinas and into Virginia, and even up into the Delmarva for our Tuesday. Alrighty, so timing this all out for you in terms of when are we going to see these storms roll on through. Well, this afternoon, again, anytime from peak afternoon heating through the overnight hours, expect those storms back towards Kansas, and then eventually working their way into Missouri and areas east and south of there through the overnight hours. So this is 11 p.m. tonight. You'll notice some pretty strong storms there entering Missouri. Now, those storms will probably continue eastward through the overnight hours, and by the time we get into early morning, could be crossing through Kentucky and Indiana. Now, that will move on through in the morning, and eventually that afternoon lead to even stronger storms as that line feeds into more unstable air. Now, another thing we'll have to watch out for is any storms that fire off in front of that here into Virginia and the Carolinas. Those storms could pack a punch as well, and that's why we have that marginal risk that goes all the way down to Charlotte, and I wouldn't be surprised to see that expanded even further south into South Carolina for tomorrow with our next update from the Storm Prediction Center. So Monday afternoon, again, that rolls through the Ohio River Valley and through the mid-Atlantic, and then going into Tuesday afternoon, as this map loads, we get another flare-up of those storms, this time through the mid-Atlantic, again through the Carolinas, Virginia, and up through the Northeast. And again, all these storms, the main threat will be straight line winds, but can't rule out some tornadoes as well. So again, you have to have a safety plan. You have to have a way to get those warnings. As we've seen, sometimes these storms can be quite unpredictable, and us. A lot of meteorologists kind of get the flack for that, but it's just kind of the way that it is. So no matter what, have a way to get warnings. All right, so that's the first round of severe weather. That's second round now. This is going into Wednesday afternoon and into Thursday. Again, you'll notice this big trough digging down into the northern Great Plains, bringing with it plenty of wind energy. And as that begins to really dig going into our Friday afternoon, that threat will shift from the Midwest to the Northeast. So again, very concerned about severe weather Friday up through New England, from Philly all the way up through Maine. Really could see some strong to severe storms on Friday. Now, what happens after that is kind of, unfortunately, the cherry on top to all of this, which is this massive ridge that begins to build in to the lower 48. Now, if you don't know what a ridge is, it's just a big area of high pressure. So you'll notice as this builds in, the jet stream, or these bright colors, shifts back northward. So you might be thinking, well, that's good. The severe weather threat dies down. True. But the unfortunate thing with this is it's going to mean very blue, very clear skies, very muggy air, and very hot temperatures. So all of that combined is going to lead to a very uncomfortable kind of third week of August here, and that could last even longer. So you'll notice this ridge holds on for a while, and unfortunately, really could lead to some very hot temperatures. Another unfortunate thing about that is whenever you have ridging like this, it's a bit easier for tropical storms to kind of get sucked up under that. So you'll notice here, this is way out on the GFS, and don't buy this as verbatim, but a lot of times when we get ridging, it's easier for these tropical cyclones to come out of the Gulf and just kind of smack us right here in the United States. It's harder for them to get away. So no threat directly from that right now, but just want you to keep an eye on it going into the peak of hurricane season here. All right, so talking about temperatures, this week actually won't be all that bad. This is Wednesday afternoon. You'll notice behind those storms, we actually get a bit of cooler air and drier air. So get out there and enjoy it because, again, it will not last forever. And you'll notice here, as we move this ahead through the end of this week and into the following week, those reds build back in as that ridge takes hold of the lower 48. And we could see temperatures well above average here for a lot of folks. So again, I know it's not what you want to hear. You're probably ready to start hearing about fall. I am too, but unfortunately, it's what we have to deal with. Now, in terms of the air that you can wear, if you will, or how muggy it'll be out there, again, we'll get a bit of a break behind these lines of storms this week. But after that, going into next week, these dew points build right back in, and we're right back to very uncomfortable, not so fun air. Really, air that you can wear is kind of the saying we hear a lot around here. Alrighty, well, that's all I've got for you on this Sunday. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was of use to you. And if you liked it, definitely hit the like button. And of course, subscribe if you haven't already, as we are trying to get to 1,500 here. And we're getting quite close to it. I'd like to get there by the end of the month. We're about halfway through the month, so I think it's very possible. Anyway, with that said, though, again, stay weather aware out there, stay safe, and I will see you all tomorrow.